Today's the last in the series for the preparations for self-defense. I've grouped three areas together which I think is the very foundation of self-defense, that being the correct stance, the correct guard, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about footwork. As usual, any questions or comments are most welcome, and if you want to jump straight forward just to see the exercise, you can do so as well. The thing about getting these things together is really, if you've got good footwork, you have a good stance, and you have a good effective guard, you can really in fact defend yourself rather effectively against most aggressors without even having to hit. Bruce Lee termed it the art of fighting without fighting. And that being that if you're stable, you can't be thrown down. If you're able to use good footwork, you control the distance from your opponent, in which case you can't be gripped or held, because you find a good distance to stay away from the person. And of course, if you have a good guard, that's the final touch on not being able to hit. So it is actually possible against quite a lot of aggressors that you won't need to hit or kick or throw or do anything. A very valuable skill if it happens to be someone you know. For instance, the example that I was always told was a drunken friend at a party or something like that. This is your friend. On a day-to-day basis, you wouldn't be fighting each other, and maybe your friend's been having a bad time or whatever, has had too much to drink for whatever reason. I'm not justifying it, but whatever reason they want to attack you, well, you don't want to hurt your friend. So if you've reached that level with your basics, with your fundamental footwork and guard, it is quite possible just to avoid that attack without actually having to hurt your opponent. That is really the pinnacle of martial arts. If you can actually defend yourself without hurting your opponent, that's the 5-star method, and no one can fault you for being able to do that. You can't be accused of being excessive in your defense or anything like that. In the following videos, I'll be starting to concentrate on individual strikes. As I said, fighting without fighting is the pinnacle, but that is not always easy, depending on who it is that's attacking you, or if there's obviously more than one person. It is difficult to defend yourself without actually hitting back or doing something in return. Just a few thoughts on your footwork and your guard is that with your footwork, remember, take small steps, not large ones, because if you take large steps, just the power that you use to take those large steps can be just the same as if you drop the clutch on a big V8 car. You'll skid, and that's not a good look. If you're not on a certain unsure surface and you drive too hard with your legs, you can literally find yourself falling flat on your face or doing the splits, which is very unhelpful at the time. Also, if you do take steps that are too large and you're leaping and jumping around, that time that you're in the air, you have no control over your feet or your stance, and you literally have to wait until gravity brings you back down to the ground. And against an experienced fighter, hopefully you won't have to deal with those type of people, because theoretically they have gone way past that sort of petty aggression. But anyone who has a little bit of fighting experience will take advantage of that fact. They will see that you're in the air for long periods of time and can't change your direction while you're in the air, and they will attack you then. Stay glued to the ground as much as you can. The ground is stable. With your footwork as well, try and think about the points of the compass. You have your forward movement for attacking or advancing, going to the north. You have your rearwards movement for retreating, going to the south. You can sidestep to the left or the right, therefore you have your east and west. Apart from that, you can take the diagonals, the northeast, the northwest, the southeast, the southwest as well, depending on the situation. That's the sort of manoeuvring that you need to be able to do with your footwork. That's a little bit more advanced, but it takes a lot of practice and a lot of working on it to get your footwork so good that you can start using these. At the very start of things, I think you'll probably be dealing with just the north and the south, the basic advance and retreat. The advantage of being able to retreat is that it gives you more space. If someone's trying to hit you and you step back, you can take yourself out of range. But bear in mind that a lot of people who do have a bit of fighting experience are expecting you to do that. That's the most basic defence, is to just retreat, to get out of the way. And so there are quite a lot of people who will throw a strike at you just to make you retreat, and when you retreat you are then actually falling into their trap, so to speak, because you are then at the correct range that they want to deliver a kick or a very powerful blow with an advance of their own. So just bear in mind that can happen. Another option that you have is with very strong opponents or people who charge. You can take retreating steps to the diagonals so that they literally go past you, or another much more advanced technique is to literally scribe a circle with your rear leg so that you swing your body out of the way like a gate and they just go charging past you, in which case you can always give them a little helping hand on the way. Some things that you can do to practice are you can practice your footwork while you're jogging. Periodically break into advances and retreats and side steps and so forth while you're jogging, and you will find that with practice you can actually stay in your stance and perform these steps literally at a full run. So that gives you an idea about the sort of speed that you're capable of. When you have a correct guard and stance, you can literally run away while still being in defence. Skipping is very good practice. If you want to do some skipping, it's not only good for keeping you fit, but it gives you light feet and also increases your coordination. You always have to think about that rope passing under your feet, or the rope tangles in your feet or can trip you up. Well, it's the same thing with your footwork. There's all sorts of objects. There's stones, there's little ruts in the ground, there's holes, there's slippery surfaces. The same thing. You need to be constantly aware of your feet. Always consider the terrain when you're using your stances or footwork, and modify your behaviour accordingly. You can get away with a lot of things on a hard concrete surface or on a road that you cannot get away with on grass or ice or mud. Also, if you've got a lot of obstacles in the way, if you're in a public place, a bar for instance, there's chairs and stools, might even be bottles lying on the ground. You need to consider all those things, and so having a good awareness of your feet is a good thing. Okay, so I'll go on to the demonstration now. Now, for footwork, starting off with your stance there, how do you move from this stance? Well, there's several options that are available to you. What we do tend to do is, rather than extending themselves a lot, you're open while you're extended like that. So what we tend to do is take short shuffling steps. We move forward and then let the foot follow. So forward and follow. And retreating tends to be the reverse. Now, this can be practiced when you're actually jogging. You can jog along and be able to practice that forward and back shuffle. And the other options available to you are side steps, where the same thing. You move so. You don't want to take too large a step, because the larger steps that you take leave you off the ground, out of balance and vulnerable for the maximum amount of time. And also if you do try to take too great steps, you might notice I'm on grass here, if you do take too large a step and the surface is slippery, you might well find you're slipping out as you're doing it. And just those small steps to bring you in, to bring you out. And always rocking on those feet and giving yourself a perceptive body. Okay, hopefully that helps with the basics, and we'll go on further to kicks and things.